There is a dream on your heart, a life that you're destined to live. But it hasn't happened yet. It can feel like you're falling behind in life, or that you've missed your chance. Well, I'm Brittany Hoopes, and I'm here to tell you, together here today, we are finally going to take a stand. We're going to take the reins, collapse timelines, connect to your vision, and tap into the manifestation momentum that makes your dreams inevitable.
Yeah, take a step back for the ones who can't
Wow,
do that.
welcome back. Okay, fair warning. This episode is going to be a little different than usual. You might have already noticed. We have something to celebrate today. Yes, we do. Like I said, you might have noticed some things looking, maybe even sounding a little different here in them parts. Is my Southern showing? That's right. This podcast is entering its next era. We are no longer the Destination Manifestation Show. Although, can we just take like a moment here, like a moment of silence for all 68 episodes of Destination Manifestation? She gave those to us. It was a gem. Thank you. We are now Inevitable with Brittany Hoopes. That's the show's new name. It's 2026, okay? It is time for some fresh energy. That's how I'm feeling, at least. And more than anything, I would say it's time to get down to the crux of manifestation. And I had this sort of like epiphany the other day. I mean, that's what most downloads feel like, right? Where I sort of realized that there's this one overarching sort of major pattern that I hear from like 93% of my clients at some point when they first come to see me. And it's this: my manifestation is taking too long. That's the complaint. That's the issue. And this prevailing sort of idea that like I'm afraid I'm going to spend all this time, all this energy, all this money, all my hope, all these things that feel really darn expensive, working and waiting and wishing, and yet it will never come. And everyone around me is like secretly pitying me and thinking, oh, she's delusional. And, here I am devoting my life, my precious time on earth towards something that will never be. And I mean, as I sort of like hear that from them and sort of internalize that myself, I'm like, that sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, And so the question becomes, if you've ever felt that way, how do I manifest faster? If this manifestation is taking too long, how can I quantumly collapse timelines, rev up that manifestation momentum, and live my my destined and my desired future, not in some mythical future that's like a carrot dangling in front of me that I'm constantly chasing, but live it now? I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people who basically lies awake at night. Like, I feel like I'm a member of some special club. I'm almost jittery at night because my brain is like planning and dreaming and downloading and mapping out what I'm going to do next for my goal. Sometimes when I get a hold of a really good idea and I can't sleep at night, I've just sort of learned at this point. It's like, Brittany, get up, forget about sleeping, get out of bed, get over to your computer and just like map it out, write it down, because you're not going to be able to sleep otherwise. Like, I've done this enough times now that I know myself. Or I'll do this little trick where I'll tell myself like, hey, let's just trust that if this idea seems as brilliant as it seems right now in the morning, I will remember it. Like, if it's a brilliant one, I'm going to remember it. If it's like a delirious, you're tired, you need to go to bed idea, then I'll forget about it in the morning. And sometimes I have those too, but I'll play this little game with me. And it's kind of nice because in a way, it just sort of reaffirms, if I remember the idea, that it was worth remembering, right? I know it's passed the test. But I truly believe your power as a creator is the most important thing to remember and the most costly thing to forget. And it's because your ability to manifest And your most precious resource is not money, as many people think. It's time. Your time here on earth in this lifetime, the way you spend your life. And we only get so much of it, right? And we don't even know how much of it we got. Isn't that like scary? At least your money, you can check your bank account. You can look at your investments, you can tally up your debts, whatever it is, you know how much you have. Time? No such thing. Now, are you just going to sit around and waste it, letting other people decide how you're going to use it or letting society dictate that for you? Especially when you've had this power to create it for yourself this entire time? Not on my watch, Missy. That is what I dedicate my life to because it just seems like such a shame, you know? Not on my watch. I guess I should say not on my quantum watch. Through this new era of the show, I want to lend you a quantum watch, okay? I want to teach you how we can distort time in your favor. And I would say that this realization of really that it all comes back to time started when I was talking to someone the other day about my business, and they said something, and they didn't mean to be rude, at least I don't think so. But they said something like, "Oh, well, you don't like need manifestation content." And I think they were making the point like, "Oh, my work is at the end of the day a form of entertainment, even education." Entertainment in their eyes. I would lean more towards the education. It's not like clean water at a hospital sort of level work, right? And I was kind of surprised by myself because I had a really visceral response to that statement. Like, if I would have had another 4 hours, I could have really gone into a discussion with them about this. But I didn't. So I bit my tongue, ish. I think I hit it pretty well. But it sort of got me thinking, wow, why did my whole body lurch forward when they said that? And I could tell it wasn't an ego-driven thing, which was nice because, we all have those. But I was like, why? It really kind of sent me on this path to really clarify why I really truly believe this work is so dang important. Like, yes, I believe people need, with a capital N, manifestation education. Sure, I might not be curing cancer, but I teach people the power of their minds, which has been proven to influence health and wealth and happiness, you name it. So at the end of the day, it wasn't really that I cared how important other people viewed the work that I did or anything like that. Like, seriously, if I cared about that, I'd still be working at Instagram, with a comfy little predictable, not even that little, a big predictable biweekly paycheck. People really think you're hot stuff if you work in tech. Like, if I care what people think, that's where I would still be. If I cared how other people view me, trust me, I would not have become a hypnotherapist, okay? A lot of people still think that I swing a little pendulum in people's faces and go, ooga booga. In fact, I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast before, but somebody a few years ago DM'd me telling me that I was, in fact, a witch and that I would go to hell for the work that I do. And I was like, okay, nice to meet you too. So I share this because if I cared about those things, I would not be doing what I do. I shout this from the rooftops because it pains me to see beautiful potential wasted. Like, it physically pains me. I feel it in my chest when I see it, That's mere synesthesia for you. And so many of us, I truly do believe, and I know that we have this tingling sort of undercurrent of urgency that constantly reminds us that the buzzer is ticking down on every second of this game that we call life, and we only have so much time to go and make this game count. And so that's why I've decided to shift the focus of this show, to shift the focus of my work, really, to focus exclusively on helping you debunk time and create agency over a very finite life. And of course, that's manifestation. We're not veering away from that. That is manifestation at the end of the day, but it's through a very specific lens. I'd tell you, time and I, we kind of have a very complicated relationship, and I'm curious what your relationship is with time. I know you'll be thinking about that a lot as you listen to the show moving forward. I would say my relationship with time has been very touch and go, only until the last couple years. I don't know if you've ever seen the show before, but I'm finally watching Gilmore Girls right now. I'm on into season 2, beginning of season 3, I think, which is actually kind of impressive because that's like 44 episodes in. This was back in the day. Gilmore Girls was like the early 2000s, late 90s, back when seasons were like 20 episodes long. So, um, but why I mention this is because for so long, my relationship with time sort of reminds me of Lorelai's relationship with Luke, at least at the beginning of Gilmore Girls. I don't know what happens later. For me, I spent 8 years starting at least like 20 different businesses before I went full time as a hypnotherapist and coach. I spent 7 years applying every single year to be on my favorite TV show, which is CBS Big Brother, before I was finally cast as a house guest for season 24. I spent 4 years and 5 rounds of fertility treatments before I finally gave birth to my triple rainbow daughter, who is, by the way, almost 6 months old. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Talk about time. My God, it is going so fast. Like, obviously, time is a construct. That is evidence alone. And of course, that's a topic for a whole other podcast. But on top of all of these elongated time instances, I spent more hours than I even really care to admit thinking, why hasn't my life worked out yet? Which objectively was a very unfair statement, I could say, for 20-something-year-old Brittany to say. It wasn't true, but that doesn't stop us from thinking it, right? We think plenty of things that aren't objectively true. I know so many of us have thought a thought like that from time to time. I'd be on my phone, I'd scroll Instagram, I'd see some random girl from high school who didn't even take as many AP classes as I did, okay, by the way. And she's just living her dream life, And I'm like, why did I suffer so much? She's out on a catamaran in Italy with some leathery skin wealthy dude or I'd see some girl from college just casually winning an Emmy, or some influencer is complaining about how much free makeup that she's stuck with every single month. It's like boo-hoo. Or here's a really potent one. A few years ago, I was absolutely spiraling when my younger brother shared that he and his wife were expecting a baby. Oh, and I will admit that was not my finest moment. I kept it in front of him. Only my husband really knew the devastation that I had initially felt. But that was tough because I was the older sister. I had these expectations around time, right? I'd been trying to get pregnant for 3 years at that point. In my mind, it should have been me. It should have been me first. I should have been first. And this thought, this resistant but oh so very human thought would come up. And the thought was this: why do other people succeed faster than me? Why? I thought I was doing everything, quote unquote, right. And it really got me thinking. And I've shared this on the show before. I've been studying manifestation for 18 years now. Okay. I've studied it as long as I haven't studied it at this point, which is pretty remarkable. The first 18 years of my life, didn't know what it was. Still applying to my life, but I didn't know I was doing it. Second 18 years, I picked up the book, The Secret, and the rest is history. But there's this pocket of info that I feel like is very often overlooked. And in some cases, it's completely missing in manifestation education. And it's our relationship to time. So I decided to study it. I studied it psychologically, neuroscientifically, quantum mechanically, hypnotherapeutically. Okay. I studied it from every single angle because I truly wanted to understand how I could play with time so that I could create my ideal life. And I kid you not, a depressive episode that had lasted me several years up until that point, completely gone in 30 days. My husband and I, we decided to move to Austin, Texas on a Monday. He applied for one single job that next Tuesday, right? First a job he applied for it on Tuesday. He interviewed for that job the next day on Wednesday. He received a job offer from that job on Thursday and accepted that offer on Friday. Okay. And we put a down payment on our dream plot of land, which was the last plot left available in this dream neighborhood in the Texas Hill Country. Sight unseen, by the way, which is crazy, but talk about a leap of faith. We did that by Sunday afternoon. Okay. Built our dream house there. All within a week. I'm not even kidding you. That was the timeline. I paid over $100,000 off in student loan debt before I turned the age of 30. I've manifested free vacations. I've manifested multiple 5 and 6-figure lump sum payments literally overnight, completely out of the blue. And that's happened multiple times. It's how I started my current business. Okay, this mindset consultancy that I have 4 years ago when I went full time with it. I went full time with it in 6 months. Even my current manifestation. Right now, I'm on a journey to lose 100 pounds. I've lost 30 pounds here in the past 6 months. Once I refused to live my life by default, that's when I was actually able to start savoring success. And I love that word savor because savor really means take your time with it, but not take your time with the with the manifestation itself. Take the time with enjoying it once it's here. That's where we want time to elongate. We want to play and we want to compact time in the waiting, and then we want to savor it once it's here. We can play around with time, right? We can have time click by like clockwork. And of course, the natural byproduct of this sort of shift of playing with time is that you end up manifesting those things that you want in record speed. And so this is the new era of the podcast, the inevitable podcast. That's where I'm going to teach you how. Because it really comes down to this, I really am a firm believer that there are two kinds of manifestors. And when I say manifestors, I mean people, right? Since we all manifest, whether we're aware of it or not. But there's sort of two kinds of people in the world. There are creators and there are reactors. And the issue is that actually all of us belong in the first bucket, okay? All of us are born into the creator bucket. It's just that some of us have sort of forgotten and we live as reactors instead. And I really believe that this is a tragic misuse of a finite life. I have this fear, and I know some people might label it irrational, sometimes even I do, but I have this fear that I was sort of like meant to come down to earth as, this form, Brittany, and I was meant to do sort of certain things and live and learn certain lessons. And I, as a soul, the bigger I, want to move forward. Like I want to expand. My soul wants to expand. I don't want my next lifetime where I'm, Juan or something. I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to come back as. I don't want my next lifetime to be the same old lessons that I've learned this time, right? So sometimes when I'm like mad at somebody or something, I'll be like, you know what? Like, let's just fine. Let's just forgive them because I don't want to have to deal with this again in my next lifetime. Like, I don't want to have to sit there with my inner being or God or whoever we meet with when we die and sort of like explain why I was being stubborn on that one Tuesday afternoon. And now I got to go like back down into earth. I got to go be a baby again. I got to learn how to walk and talk and all that stuff just so I can forgive this time around. Like, I don't want to mess with that. That sounds like a lot of work. So let's just like do it now as Brittany. I'll literally have this thought. What is wrong with me? Anyways, you and I, we know that manifestation isn't just about like wishful thinking and positive vibes or even escapism, as a lot of reactors like to label it as sometimes. We know that at the end of the day, it is all about your conscious participation in your own life. It's refusing to live your life by default. In fact, it's more than that. It's more than refusing to live it by default. It's overriding the default automatic programming that was handed down to you through your childhood or by culture or by society or by whoever or wherever else. It's saying, no, I get to decide the scripts that are going to run my life. And I mean, frankly, that's what hypnotherapy is. It's picking the scripts and making the ones that you pick be the automatic programming instead. It's refusing to outsource your destiny to just mere circumstances or fear or conditioning or whatever it might be. It's choosing true authorship over your life instead of just letting it all operate on autopilot. And I'd say this, the crazy thing is, most people don't even realize they've hopped out of the creator bucket and they've fallen into this reactor trap. They're too busy caring about the next Starbucks drop of bear-shaped cups or whatever, Which don't get me wrong, if that floats your boat, like all the more power to you, but it can't be like everything. We came down here to Earth to do more, and you know it. But there's this group of us creators, and we're lying awake, or at least semi-awake at night, and we deliberately dream. We create. I mean, that's what visualization, hypnosis, that theta brainwave state is. And I kind of, when I'm doing that, when I'm about to start a hypno before I go to bed, I kind of always send out a little prayer, some good vibes to all the other people I know who are streaming the hypnotherapy audios in my Manifested Me vault at the same time as I am. I just think it's kind of cool to know and to think that, like, oh, there are other people out there creating right now as I am. They're deliberately dreaming, and we're all doing it at the same time. That's the club I want to be a member of. Because it's those people who end up creating what other people, the reactors, say is impossible. Someone has to do it. So why the heck not you? That's the question I ask all the time. And so I want to be very clear about our focus here on the Inevitable Pod. This isn't some productivity system or packaged up hustle culture or anything like that. Ew, gag me. No. Time has a history of being talked about through that lens, but not here. I'm not interested in that. But this podcast does have everything to do with building up your mental muscles and deliberately reprogramming your subconscious mind, shifting your relationship to time. You get your mind on track, that's when your dreams get back on track. And this is how we collapse time. So, I'm hoping that you can allow this new era of the podcast to sort of be your flashlight to help you navigate out of the dark. It's kind of like the Google Maps or the GPS system that's going to reroute you back onto your highlighted route, so you're not wasting any more time. You don't see that little estimated arrival keep going up and up and up and up. My mission is to help you take the reins and deliberately decide the life that you want to live, rather than wasting time and getting pushed around whichever way the wind blows, right? I'm going to help you actively create your life so that you can tap into the extraordinary, break free from those default patterns, remind you of your power in a world that, frankly, would really much rather that you forget. It's much easier for a lot of people if you forget that you have power. Let's be honest here. I want to serve as that guiding light, or at least this podcast can serve as that guiding light that you can focus on as you drive home, or you do the dishes, or you do a workout, or whatever you're doing here right now as you're listening. I want to help you focus on your manifestation power when the world is filled with distractions and fear and disbelief. And here's the thing. I know that you're a creator, and I know that you already know this. You wouldn't be listening to a show like this if you didn't feel this in your soul. And yet it's still so easy for us to get sucked back into the world of effects. That's why I share the stories and the time instances where I still fall into it, right? Because I study this stuff, I teach this stuff, and yet it's so human to be susceptible to it. You get distracted, right? Fear ends up drowning out that desire. It's like you're this little tugboat that's out in the raging sea storm and you're fighting for your life to stay on that course, right? And it's taken a real long ass time to get to shore. That's what it feels like sometimes manifesting. I want this show to be your lighthouse. And I want to make one thing very, very, very clear, okay? The world is always going to try to push you off course. It pushes all of us off course from time to time. So please hear me when I say that you haven't failed. If you feel some anxiety creeping up about your manifestations from time to time, like I said, distractions abound. It's all about training what you do in response to those distractions. That's the key. And that's what I teach, okay? When that distraction comes up, how do you continue to create your life despite it? Okay? That separates the creators from the reactors. Not that you're perfect, not that you never feel off about time. It's what do you do when you feel off about time? How can you recognize that you've fallen off the horse and it's time to get back on? How can you recognize that you've jumped out of the creator bucket and you landed in the reactor trap? Right? Life is loud. Fear is so darn persuasive. Old patterns are literally neuroscientifically designed to be super efficient. Okay. The nervous system in your brain just automatically defaults to what is familiar because it mistakes that familiarity for safety. You know what you want. You just keep losing your grip on it. And that's the only reason why you feel behind. And as I was thinking about all this, I sort of felt like it was time for a new name for the show because I want to be intentional about the lens in which we view manifestation now. Destination manifestation doesn't tell the full story anymore. In fact, I would say it skips the most important part, which is the journey, the process, the time. Isn't isn't that the time, right? The journey? And frankly, the real problem for so many of us. The old show, we talked about it a lot, but the name didn't reflect it, right? And, I want to talk about the fact that the journey feels like it's taken too freaking long, and there's a reason why. Because honestly, I want to sort of ask you a question, okay? And I want you to be real honest with me here. If you knew that your manifestation, think of the thing that you want to manifest most right now, okay? I got mine. Get yours. If you knew 100%, let's just say I'm a genie in a bottle. I'm a genie in a bottle, babe. Okay, 90s kid reference. Let's just pretend I'm a proven fortune teller. I manifested you, okay? I am visiting you from the future. I am here in your now, and I can tell you, yes, with 100% certainty, this manifestation is happening for you. Your manifestation is inevitable. How would you feel? And really, how much would it actually matter then how long it took? Like if you knew, yes, it will happen in your current lifetime, you will not die before you receive or you experience this, and it will happen in perfect timing. That's the key piece. That actually in retrospect, it will make sense why it happened in the timing that it happened. Exactly it was meant to. It will happen in the perfect timing. Would time matter then? What's interesting is I feel in most cases, I feel like the pressure is off then, if you knew that 100% to be true. I mean, gosh, even as I just think myself, like a year and a half ago, I was 3 miscarriages in, and I was at such a low. I don't think it was the lowest point in my life. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Second lowest point in my life. And I was just wondering, oh my gosh, this huge dream that I've always had since I was a little girl. Am I ever going to get to be a mom? And if you would have told me next month, that's it. We just have to wait for this particular one egg to be released. You release one every month since you were a teenager. And now you're 30. Let's see, how old was I? I was 34 when I got pregnant. You're 34 years old. And we just have to wait for this specific month because that's the one that's your daughter. If I could have seen the perfect girl who chose me as a mom right then, I would have known, yes, this timing was exactly as it was meant to be. In fact, I would have released so much pressure. I would have enjoyed that time a whole lot more. If you just could trust that it is working out, the universe knows the whole picture. The universe has the full storybook, and yet you're just reading one page of it. And it doesn't happen a moment too soon. And the same is true of your manifestation too, okay? You just haven't allowed yourself to see it yet. And so that's why I'm calling the new era of this show inevitable, because it's also the catch-22 of this whole thing, right? Once we truly believe that our manifestations are inevitable, wouldn't you know, that's when they finally arrive. That's the catch-22 of it. And I want you to game that system, okay? So, if you've been listening to the show any length of time at all, you know that I used to call you all travelers, destination manifestation travelers. What should I call you now that we've changed the name? I guess I'll have to come up with a new term of endearment. Time travelers? I know that's what we're going to be doing. I like creators. I freaking love being a creator. We've been talking about being in that creator bucket here, right? And I don't mean I love being a creator in the business sense. I mean, even though I do, I create this podcast, I create social media content, the Manifested Me Vault, which is my hypnotherapy audio library. So I am a creator by trade, but I mean creator by soul, right? Creator in the sense of how we've been talking about here today. Harnessing my ability to create reality. I freaking love it. It's really what I view as my purpose here on earth. Because I will say this, as soon as I embraced my role as a creator that I was born into, success no longer felt like it was coming too late. You know, everything I could ever want just seemed to arrive on time, perfect timing. I make decisions now that are clean and clear and with trust. I help support amazing clients who they too are refusing to live unconsciously anymore. They don't want any more of that. And so they harness their own creationary power too. Because the truth is, you're not too old for your dreams, and it's not too late. You know that you're meant for more, and I know it too. So let's do something about it. Now is the time to shape and to craft your reality. And I'm sure you agree. I really just can't wait to share with you all the goodness that we have in store. Oh my gosh, I have at least 20 podcast episodes just lined up, ready to go. so many facets of this experience that I want to share with you. And you know what's kind of funny? I was thinking the other day, I probably should have known that the 13-year-old version of me, little Brittany, little teenage Brittany, who wrote a 60-page book called In My Next 15 Years. Yes, I did that. It was this book that I wrote in Microsoft Word. It had clip art and all. And it outlined every single area of my life and how it was going to be once I turned 28 years old. And I should have known right there and then that I would then make it my life's mission to crack the code on time and to teach others how to manifest their futures now too. You know, it's not what I wrote in that book. I think I thought I was going to be an actress then when I was 28, but I should have known that actually I'd be a goal setter, a professional goal setter, and help other people do the same, especially given that I wrote the book. Anyways, if you're curious to see what that book looked like, go to my website. I included a picture of it there. It's on my new About page that I just created. So that's BrittanyHoopes.com/about. It's really, it's too funny to look back on, right? So I just want to thank you creators for joining me here today. Be sure to tune in to our upcoming inevitable episodes. I mean, the show is inevitable, but the episodes are also inevitably to be posted as we continue to dive deeper into how you can stop overthinking your manifestations, okay? Good news is all the past Destination Manifestation episodes, they are still going to be here for you too. So go back and binge those as well. They still very much apply. You know, it's all the same stuff that we're talking about. But from here on out, I want to help you get to a place where you can tell that you're moving forward, even before those big results land. I mean, it's great when the results are there, yes, but I want you to feel the momentum and the optimism and the hope and the forward progress and movement along that journey. So you don't have to wait to feel good until the results are there, you know, so that when those results do land, it's kind of just this, well, of course, sort of feeling. It's inevitable. Okay, and I'll see you next time.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the way.